everybody's so unique, and how one person responds to having a colostomy or a urostomy is different. So I can only speak from my own experience. One thing I do know for sure is it's really important to have friends, and to have even one or two really close friends that you can be very real with. For sure, I think that everybody that's had a stoma formation goes through a period of grief or mourning. They might not even necessarily understand that that's what they're feeling. There's a feeling of loss. There's a feeling of gain. This is not all doom and gloom, but there's a feeling of loss, because once you have a stoma formation, apart from those who are going to have it reversed, it's a permanent part of your body that you need to get used to. So I would say one of the first things to advise a friend or family member of somebody that's having or just about to have or has just had a stoma formation is to guard too much positivity around it immediately. So instead of going in with the best intentions, a well-meaning, oh, this is brilliant, this is such a great thing, this is going to mean the beginning of the rest of your life. Yes, it definitely is. But when you've just had one put on, when you've just had one done, or you've just come out of surgery, or that person isn't necessarily going to be in that headspace at that time. So that would be the biggest piece of advice, is to simply ask, how are you feeling? What can I do for you? What would make this process of transition or acceptance easier for you? And for some people it might be that they just need to cry. For some people they might need to talk. For some people they're going to go through a period of self-pity, of, like I said, of mourning, of grief, of anger. Some people, I'm very aware, especially people that have got such severe bowel disease, when they come out of surgery they may hit the ground running and just be like, yes, I don't have that, that burden of disease in my body anymore, and they're the ones that are just like, and fantastic. But for people that have got a lower level of the disease, or for people that have got a colostomy or urostomy for other reasons, that's not necessarily going to be their feelings coming out of the gate. Something else that needs to be spoken about, I suppose, is cancelling plans. So we as ostomates can be very excited about plans, but maybe the day before or the days leading up to those plans we're starting to feel fatigued or overwhelmed or down in the dumps, or maybe the stoma's misbehaving and so our confidence levels are low. It's no reflection on your friendship, it's no reflection on the activity that you want to do together. Sometimes it's just that there's not enough me to then venture out as well, and it might be that I need a quieter time. Sometimes pushing through and encouraging somebody to push through those feelings that you know very well that they'll feel much better for it. But actually that's not always the case. Sometimes when we're already fatigued and we are pushing through for the sake of how much we love you and the excitement for the activity, we actually set ourselves backwards. And when we set ourselves backwards, we then are open to actually becoming unwell and under the weather and depleted. So then it's almost counterproductive. So don't take it personally. And if we need to cancel a few times on the trot, please understand that we don't want to. It's just that we have to. And there are different types of, different personalities who will push themselves to the end of themselves in order to keep their prearranged calendar dates. I'm not one of those people, and the only reason I'm not is because I've learnt the hard way. If I don't take care of my body, I then am no use to my family, my function in my family, and any other responsibilities I might have. The other thing to mention is that we look normal. I look normal. Everybody regularly and thank you tells me how well I look since I've had the colostomy. And yes, I look well, but I am forever changed. I do have a set of extra practical burdens that I didn't have before, and there are complexities to having a stoma that really only ostomates understand. So yes, we look healthy and we look well, but we're still carrying a burden, and it's not just a physical burden. In fact, I think after healing it is more so an emotional burden. This is an interesting one to discuss, really. So stoma noises. So if you've got a friend or family member with a stoma, whether that's a urostomy or a colostomy or ileostomy, there's noise. So for some people, the bag rustling around, it might sound like we've got a bag of crisps rattling around under our clothing. And we can be quite self-conscious of that. For others, it might be the farts that happen at the quietest times. Sometimes we're popping away and, you know, it's a busy environment, so you'll never hear it. We can feel it, but you'll never hear it. But in a quieter environment, I think you need to know that it can be, for some people, I get embarrassed just about when I could fart in the traditional sense, but it's always muffled by a seat, so in some ways you can get away with it. When you fart with a colostomy bag, it's a little bit louder and it sounds like you're farting into a wet plastic bag. For some people, I'll be really honest, this is enough to stop them socialising, so it's a big deal. It's not to be taken lightly. For me, in a group setting, and if it's particularly noisy, maybe it's been particularly noisy all day, I just know what's coming, and I can either decide not to take part in that activity that night or that day, or I can go ahead and do it when I'm with people that I really trust, in the hopes that there's no awkward silence. And the great thing about some of my friends is that they are really funny people, so one person sets off giggling, it sets us all off giggling, and I will still blush because I get easily embarrassed and I do blush, but it's like it would have been so much worse had nobody giggled. And I know for some people, if you giggled at their stoma farting, they'd be mortified. So it really does depend on the person. You will know them well enough to know whether they have that kind of sense of humour or not. There will be changes for the person that has a stoma formed. Some of those changes will be social changes, where they may start going to certain things and stop going to others. You know, they might decide that they need to start going to support group specific to our colostomies, but they might stop going to other activities that they previously attended, and this could be because it's reminding them of what they are no longer. It could be that they're too shy, embarrassed, or don't feel that they've got the energy for it anymore. There will also be changes in their appearance. So for me, I used to wear a lot of tightly fitted to the waist, I suppose, dresses, you know, like 1940s, 1950s dresses. That's my, you know, fashion love. Whereas now I generally tend to wear two pieces, whether that's a skirt and a top or whether that's trousers and a top, because I do actually feel quite. I did try carrying on with my previous clothing. It didn't work for me. I need to check. I need to be able to have access easily, not having to stuff dresses up under my chin and all of the things that go with that. So there can be changes in fashion. Maybe you went from very tightly fitting trousers to slightly more, you know, slightly less fitted trousers. Maybe you went from skin tight clothing to slightly baggier clothing, just to allow for the colostomy bag or ileostomy bag to fill. all of the advertisements on TV and in the magazines, it's always an empty colostomy bag, but that's not what they look like when they are filling up or they are full. So that's one for family and friends to know. We have to account for a full bag, not an empty bag. And some people, they just empty their bag very, very, very often so that they always look like they've got a flat bag. But in some circumstances, and for some people, that's not appropriate. They don't have enough bags that they're prescribed each month to be able to do so. The other thing that people need to know is that we might need to step away from certain people or situations that are toxic, that when we were feeling on top of our game, we were able to manage those people or those circumstances or situations, that we can no longer expose ourselves to them. The other thing that I think would be quite important to know is that sometimes we just need a listening ear without solutions being offered. So we might just need to have a moan. It doesn't mean that we're moaning because we want a solution to that complaint. It might just be that we need to get something off our chest that's been burdening us. That's it for today. I hope this helps somebody, maybe a family member or a very close friend, or somebody that just wants to know a little bit more about this side of being an ostomate. Thanks so much. Bye.